When people hear the phrase, "You always get what you want," they tend to bristle. "That's absurd," they say. "I wanted a loving family, and I got chaos. I wanted success, and I got setbacks. I wanted health, and I got illness." It sounds like a cruel joke, or at best a glib slogan on a poster. But there is a deeper, more unsettling sense in which it is profoundly true. Life keeps giving you not what you say you want, but what you are actually committed to in the depths of your being, including the commitments you would never put on a vision board. My name is Alan Watts, and for many years I have been accused of suggesting that the universe is, in some curious way, on your side. Not in the sentimental sense that it will always hand you pleasant experiences, but in the more radical sense that it is a perfect mirror. Everything that comes to you is, at some level, a reflection of how you are habitually relating to life. This is not a doctrine of blame. It is an invitation to a new kind of honesty. To ask, what must I be believing, expecting, rehearsing for this pattern to keep appearing? Historically, success has been sold to us as a matter of force. Set a goal, grind, push through, dominate. You are told that if you just work hard enough and visualize intensely enough, reality will bend to your will. Yet, if you look carefully, you'll notice a strange phenomenon that I and others have called the backwards law. The harder you strain for certain states, happiness, relaxation, confidence, the further away they seem. The more you chase success as an escape from your fears, the more those fears flavor whatever you achieve. So the message I want to explore with you is quietly revolutionary. A true mindset of success is not about whipping yourself into a more intense state of wanting. It is about discovering what you are actually wanting with your actions, your attention, and your attitude, and then gently aligning that with what you consciously say you value. When life gives you exactly what you secretly asked for, you have two choices. You can curse your luck, or you can say, so this is what I've really been voting for with my way of being. Now I see. Now I can begin to choose differently. The central principle is this. Life responds less to what you declare with your lips than to what you embody with your energy. You may insist, "I want abundance," while clinging to a deep conviction of scarcity. You may affirm, "I deserve love," while repeatedly agreeing to situations where you are treated as an afterthought. You may chant, "I am successful," while secretly believing that success will expose you as a fraud. In each case, your deeper, often unconscious commitment will tend to win. The universe, if you like, listens to your being more than to your slogans. I did not discover this by reading mystical texts alone. I saw it in my own life. There were times when I said I wanted peace, yet I kept filling my schedule with more engagements, more talks, more drama. What I really wanted, it turned out, was to feel important, necessary, in demand. Life obliged. It gave me invitations, obligations, and the exhaustion that came with them. On other occasions, I declared that I wanted simplicity, yet I continued to complicate matters with unnecessary projects. Again, life said, "Very well. Here is the harvest of your actual choices." There are three particularly destructive ways in which we confuse what we say we want with what we are actually choosing. The first is what we might call the victim's bargain. Here you insist, "All I want is to be free, to be respected, to be at peace," while your daily habits tell another story. You outsource responsibility for your state to bosses, partners, politicians, the economy. You feed resentment and helplessness. Life, being an excellent echo, sends you more situations that confirm your powerlessness. The second is the hustler's trance. You declare, "I want success, impact, financial freedom." But beneath that is a more fragile wish. "I want to prove I am enough." So you measure everything in terms of status and comparison. Even when you achieve something, it never feels like it, because the inner deficit remains. Life obliges by giving you achievements that fail to satisfy, so that you can continue believing that the missing piece is somewhere out there in the next goal. The third is the spiritual bypass. You claim to want enlightenment, ego transcendence, divine union. Underneath, you may be wanting to avoid your ordinary human pain, your anger, your sexuality, your grief. You dress up your aversion as loftiness. Life obliges by giving you spiritual highs that crash, teachers who disappoint you, practices that work for a while and then dry up. You are being invited again and again to see that your real growth lies not in escaping the human condition, but in entering it fully. The secret, if we dare to use that overused word, is that whatever you cling to as necessary for your worth will quietly run your life. If you must be liked, you will unconsciously arrange to be surrounded by people who keep you guessing about their approval. If you must be in control, you will find yourself in situations that constantly threaten chaos. If you must never fail, you will procrastinate or choose small games, so that you can always claim, "I could have if I'd really tried." In each case, life is faithfully delivering the experience that matches your hidden instruction. To make this less abstract, let me tell you about a man named Daniel. He was in his early 30s, working in marketing for a technology company, with a vision board on his bedroom wall that could have been cut from the pages of any modern self-help catalog. Luxury travel, a sports car, a certain number in his bank account, the inevitable house with large windows and a view. "I don't understand," he said to me after a lecture. "I've been doing everything the success gurus say. I wake up early, I journal my goals, I grind, I network. I've hit most of the milestones on my board. And yet, I feel strangely stuck. The promotions come with more anxiety. The money comes with more fear of losing it. My relationships feel like transactions. It's as if life is mocking me. Here, have what you asked for, and see that it isn't what you thought." I asked him, "When you look at that board, what do you feel in your body?" He frowned. "Motivated," he said. Then, after a pause, "and tense, like I'm behind, like I'm not there yet. And when you imagine achieving all of it," I continued, "what do you imagine you will finally be allowed to feel?" He was quiet for a long time. "Safe," he said at last, "like I can finally relax." "So," I replied, "your real goal is not the car, the view, or the number. Your real goal is permission to relax. And until then, you are instructing life. Keep me striving, keep me slightly behind, keep me in the tension of not yet. That is what you secretly asked for, and that is what you are receiving." He looked offended. "You're saying I want to feel this stressed?" "Not consciously," I said. "But there is a part of you that believes that without this constant strain, you will become lazy, irrelevant, unworthy. So your system has decided that tension equals virtue. And life, cooperative as ever, keeps sending you more circumstances to justify that tension. You always get what you want, but the wanting I am talking about happens deeper than words. It lives in your posture, your assumptions, your daily rituals. We spoke about the backwards law, that certain qualities like ease, joy, and creativity cannot be wrung out of reality by force. They arise when effort is balanced with trust, when you act wholeheartedly and then let go of the outcome. I gave him a practice that sounded, to his productivity-hardened ears, almost irresponsible. For the next 30 days, I said, choose 1 hour each day where you are not allowed to pursue any goal. Not physical fitness, not skill development, not networking, not optimization. During that hour, you must do something for its own sake. Play music, walk, sit by a window, talk with a friend, but only as long as you can do it without turning it into a means to an end. And every time your mind says, "This is wasting time, I should be getting ahead," you say inwardly, "For this hour, my success is measured by my ability to enjoy being." He looked at me as if I had suggested he jump off a bridge. "Won't that make me fall behind?" "Behind what?" I asked. "The imaginary race in your head. Consider that perhaps life has been trying to give you the relaxation you crave, but you keep refusing it because it doesn't come packaged as achievement." He agreed to try, partly out of desperation. At first, he reported, the experiment was excruciating. He found himself pacing during his non-productive hour, checking his phone, inventing small tasks. Doing nothing felt like a betrayal of his identity as a driven person. But somewhere in the second week, something softened. One afternoon, sitting on a park bench, he noticed the way the light filtered through the leaves, the sound of children playing, the warmth of the sun on his face. For a few minutes, his mind stopped calculating. There was no later, no if only. Just this. It felt, he told me, like the thing I was hoping success would deliver, and it cost nothing. It was already there. I was just never present enough to receive it. When he returned to his work, something interesting happened. He was still competent, still ambitious, but less frantic. He said no to projects that were pure ego polishing. He noticed that some opportunities he had been chasing out of fear naturally fell away, while others appeared without forcing. Life, it seemed, was not punishing him for relaxing. It was rearranging itself around his new signal. I want to create from fullness, not from desperation. If Daniel's lesson was about success in the conventional sense, let me introduce you to someone whose story concerns a more intimate arena: relationships. Her name was Elena, a woman in her late 30s who, on paper, was accomplished, educated, stable career, interesting hobbies, but whose love life resembled a looping film. I keep ending up with the same kind of man, she said, emotionally unavailable, vague about commitment, very exciting at first and then slowly distant. I tell myself each time, this one is different, and each time the pattern repeats. Part of me wants to scream at the universe, why do you keep sending me this? I asked a question she did not appreciate at first. What do you get to believe about yourself when this pattern repeats? She frowned. That I'm not enough. That I'm always the one who cares more. And how long have those beliefs been with you? Since my teens, she said. Maybe earlier. So, I continued gently. Without realizing it, you are secretly committed to a story. I am the one who is not quite chosen. I am the one who loves more. It's painful, but it's familiar. And because it is familiar, it feels like home. So when you meet someone who fits that script, charming, slightly distant, a little wounded, something in you lights up and says, ah, here is the chance to live my favorite tragedy again. You always get what you want, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you are unconsciously more loyal to your story than to your stated desire for a different experience. Isiju, she looked at me with a mixture of anger and recognition. So it's my fault? It is not about fault, I said. It is about participation. If you are part of the pattern, then you are also part of the power to shift it. The first step is to admit what you have actually been wanting at a deeper level, to confirm an old belief about yourself, to be right about your unworthiness. That sounds absurd to the conscious mind, but to the unconscious, consistency often feels safer than change. I suggested a practice for her too. For the next 30 days, I told her, treat your interactions as a kind of research. Whenever you feel that familiar spark with someone, that intoxicating sense of chasing pause, and ask yourself, what old feeling does this person allow me to recreate? Is it longing, proving, waiting? Then, as an experiment, give extra attention to people who evoke a different feeling: calm, mutuality, ease, even if they seem less exciting at first. You are not required to date them all. You are simply widening your familiarity with another kind of resonance. She agreed, though reluctantly. As the weeks passed, she began to notice that her strongest attractions were almost always toward men who were, in some way, slightly unavailable, busy, ambivalent, addicted to their own drama. The steadier souls did not immediately stir her romantic fantasies. But she also began to notice how exhausted she felt in the push-pull dynamic. At a small gathering, she met a man named Jonas, who was kind, attentive, somewhat shy. Her old pattern dismissed him at first glance. Nice, but no spark. Yet remembering our conversation, she allowed herself to talk with him longer. She found that, in his quiet way, he was deeply present. He asked questions and listened. He remembered details she had mentioned. Being around him did not feel like riding a roller coaster. It felt like sitting by a slowly warming fire. It scared me, she admitted later. Not because he was dangerous, but because it felt unfamiliar to be treated as if I were obviously worth being there for. There was no chase, no cliffhanger, just consistency. Part of me wanted to run back to the old pattern, where I could at least play the heroic struggler. But another part of me, a tired part, wanted to stay. Over the next months, she experimented with choosing this quieter stability over the loud drama she was used to. It was not a fairy tale. They had disagreements, awkward silences, mismatched habits. But she noticed that the old script, "I am the one who is not chosen," fit less and less. Jonas, imperfect as he was, kept choosing her. The universe, it seemed, was willing to deliver a different kind of story. Once she was willing to want something other than her familiar pain. Here, again, life was giving her exactly what she had secretly asked for. For years, she had asked beneath her conscious desires, for confirmation of a narrative. When she began to want something else, not just in words, but in what she was willing to stay with, and what she was willing to walk away from life responded. In both Daniel and Elena, you can see the essence of a true success mindset, as I mean it. It is not about manipulating reality to fit your fantasies. It is about discovering how deeply your inner posture shapes what you notice, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you reject. When you change that posture, your relationship to effort, to rest, to worthiness, the outer picture eventually reshuffles. Spiritually speaking, you could say that success is not about bending the universe to your will, but about aligning the local expression called you with the larger intelligence that has been moving everything from the beginning. This intelligence is not sentimental. It is precise. If you hold tightly to lack, it will show you lack. If you hold tightly to unworthiness, it will faithfully present situations that echo that conviction until you either believe it fully or laugh and drop it. The empowering recognition is that you are not a victim of this process. You are this process. The deeper you is life itself learning about itself through the patterns it plays. When the pattern becomes too painful, the same life that enacted it also prompts the question, what am I doing? What am I really wanting? That question is the opening. In the age of optimization and personal branding, this way of seeing is more needed than ever. You are surrounded by messages telling you what you should want. Followers, constant growth, endless novelty. If you swallow those without question, life will happily feed you a diet of chasing and comparison. But you can also pause and ask, what do I actually want my days to feel like? What is success in terms of lived experience, not just image? So let us make this practical with a simple 7-step experiment, a way of turning this philosophy into a daily practice of self-honesty. First, once a day, sit down with a notebook or a blank page and write. At the top, what I say I want. Under that, list 1 or 2 key desires. Perhaps financial stability, meaningful work, loving relationships, vitality. Keep it simple. Second, on the next line, write what my actions show I want. Look at how you actually spend your time, your attention, your money, your conversations. Do they reveal a desire for comfort over growth, for drama over peace, for approval over authenticity? Be brutally kind, not brutally harsh, clear but not cruel. Third, choose one small area where the mismatch is glaring. Maybe you say you want health, but you consistently sacrifice sleep. Maybe you say you want deep connection, but you rarely allow yourself to be seen honestly. Do not try to fix everything at once. One pattern is enough. Fourth, ask, what am I secretly getting out of the old pattern? Perhaps exhaustion gives you an excuse to avoid scarier risks. Perhaps being the one who is always let down allows you to feel morally superior. This is uncomfortable territory. Tread gently. Remember, you are not exposing a villain, but a strategy that once made sense. Fifth, for the next 30 days, design one concrete, daily action that aligns your behavior with what you consciously say you want in that area. If you say you want health, it might be going to bed 30 minutes earlier. If you say you want connection, it might be sharing one honest thought with someone you trust each day. Small, consistent movements are more powerful than grand resolutions. Sixth, as you do this action, pay close attention to the resistance that arises. Notice the thoughts that argue against the new behavior. This is pointless. This is uncomfortable. This is dangerous. Notice the feelings, boredom, fear, restlessness. Instead of believing them, treat them as the voice of the old wanting trying to maintain itself. Say inwardly, "Thank you, but we are trying something different now." Seventh, each evening, ask a simple question. What did life give me today that might be a response to what I'm really wanting? It might be an opportunity, a challenge, a coincidence, a setback that exposes a pattern. Rather than dividing events into good and bad, look at them as feedback. How do they reflect the shifts you are making or resisting? Practiced sincerely, this experiment turns your everyday circumstances into a conversation with life. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What in me is this answering?" That is a success mindset in the deepest sense, not fixation on outcomes, but a willingness to learn from everything. Now, before you slip away to the next piece of content, consider your own experience. Where do you suspect life is giving you exactly what you secretly asked for? Is it in your work, your finances, your relationships, your sense of time, your level of stress? If you feel moved, share a glimpse of that in the comments, not as a confession of guilt, but as a simple acknowledgement. Here's the pattern I see. Here is where I'm ready to look deeper. You may find that others are wrestling with very similar echoes. If this exploration has stirred something in your thinking about success, if it has made you question whether you are chasing what you truly value, or just what you were told to value, consider staying with us on this journey. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next dive into these strange, beautiful paradoxes of desire, effort, and fulfillment. If this talk resonated, give the video a like. It helps this message find its way to others who may be tired of running faster on the same old hamster wheel. You might also know someone whose life seems to be stuck in a loop, always ending up in the same job, the same relationship, the same frustration, no matter how much they try to change the scenery. Share this video with them, not as a diagnosis, but as an invitation to a different kind of question. What if life is not against you, but answering you? As we come to a close, you'll see two other videos appearing on your screen, two different doorways into the same exploration of mindset, awakening, and the art of living a life that actually feels like yours. Choose whichever one calls to you, and let the experiment continue in your own days. Thank you for lending your ears, your attention, and your very real questions about success to this conversation. May you discover again and again that when life gives you exactly what you secretly asked for, it is not mocking you, but inviting you to want, and therefore to live more consciously. When you begin to see that life is not arbitrarily punishing or rewarding you, but faithfully reflecting your deeper commitments, something fundamental shifts inside. You stop treating circumstances as a cosmic lottery and start treating them as messages. Success is no longer just what I managed to accumulate, but how honestly I can recognize what I've been asking for with my way of being, and how courageously I can ask for something truer. That is a very different game from the one you were sold. It is less glamorous on the outside, and far more powerful on the inside. This shift does not happen in one dramatic insight. It unfolds in small, sometimes uncomfortable acts of self-honesty. Every time you notice, here I am choosing stress over rest again, drama over peace, familiarity over growth, you are standing at a crossroads. You can continue voting for the old pattern, or you can cast a new vote with a tiny different action. It will feel strange at first, like writing with your non-dominant hand. But over time, that new motion becomes natural. Life, attentive as ever, responds. So before you rush onward, take a moment to turn this from an interesting idea into a personal inquiry. Ask yourself, in which area of your life does this message sting the most? Where do you suspect that you might be secretly asking for something other than what you say you want? Is it your relationship with money, with work, with love, with your own time? If you feel moved, share that in the comments. Not as a self-attack, but as a simple statement of fact. Here is the loop I see. Here is where I'm ready to be more honest with myself. That simple act of naming it is already a crack in the old spell. If this conversation has given you a different lens on success, if it has made you just a little less interested in chasing someone else's idea of a good life, and a little more curious about what you are actually broadcasting with your daily choices, consider staying with us on this exploration. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next turn in this winding path. These things are not meant to be digested all at once. They are companions you revisit as life keeps answering you. If something here resonated, give this video a like. It is a small gesture from you that, in the peculiar economy of this digital age, helps this message reach others who might be quietly wondering why they keep ending up in the same place, no matter how hard they run. And if, as you listened, a particular person came to mind, someone stuck in a repeating pattern of jobs, relationships, or self-doubt, share this video with them. Not as a verdict, but as an invitation. Maybe this will help you see your story from another angle. As we come to the end of this talk, you'll see 2 other videos appearing on your screen, 2 different doors into the same house of self-knowledge, mindset, and awakening. One may speak more to your struggles with effort and rest, the other to your questions about love, purpose, or fear. Trust whichever one draws your eye and step through it. This journey is not a straight line. It is a spiral, circling the same truths from new heights. Thank you for lending your ears, your attention, and your sincere questions about what it means to succeed at being human. May you remember, again and again, that you are not merely at the mercy of what life brings, but in quiet dialogue with it, and that every time life gives you exactly what you secretly asked for, it is offering you yet another chance to ask, and therefore to live more consciously.